Hey everyone, welcome back to another FogCutter Live, where we're here to help guide you through all the noise and the fog out there trading in the financial markets. I'm Mike Curtis, here with Preston James, founder of Traders Edge Network. So Preston, we got a lot to talk about on the economic front, some earnings, finishing up the year. So say hello and let's get into it.
Yeah, just want to say boo. And man, that was a tough weekend to get through with just all the weird news. I wish we could kind of start the weekend over again. But here we are. Yeah, you're right, Mike. We've got a lot of economic news this week. And here we are.
Kind of a unique one where right, we're out of this government shutdown. So some of these economic reports are in kind of catch-up mode, if you will. So as I was just peeking through it, we have the jobs report, the November jobs report, which usually that's the first Friday of every month, just kind of like clockwork. But with the government shutdown, they're obviously playing a little catch up on that. So we're getting that report tomorrow before the open. It comes out at 8:30 Eastern time, so an hour before the market opens. A lot of eyes will be on that, right? If you followed the FOMC meetings, there's been a lot of discussion about the labor market, right? The Fed, they're trying to balance just inflation. And then the other side of that is they're really watching the job market. Those are like the two main areas of focus for the Fed and how they're attacking interest rate policy. So I'm sure that's going to be making some headlines. We're going to see how that impacts the financial markets. So if you see the futures react a little bit strongly tomorrow before the open, it's probably due to that unemployment report that's popping in tomorrow morning.
Right. And I'll add retail sales is being announced along with it. Also, new housing starts. I mean, there's really a cluster of what briefing.com determines high potential trading impact news. So before the open tomorrow, to your point, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. And Thursday, we got even more. The CPI numbers, of course, that's the Consumer Price Index, which is a big one, right? It tells us how prices are looking. That obviously impacts what the inflation picture is looking like. So two of the bigger, more closely watched items are hitting this week. And then Friday, there's also at 10 a.m. Eastern time, the existing home sales, which is obviously home sales has really kind of stalled with some of the interest rate situation. The pricing of home values have soared over the last couple of years. So that's another one that's going to be watched. So we have kind of a heavier economic week on the economic news front. And then Preston, is there any stocks earnings report wise that you have your eye on this week?
Yeah, on Tuesday. So here's the housing starts and building permits will come out Tuesday morning. But after the close, Lennar Homes announces earnings. And why that's even remotely interesting. Well, first of all, it has weekly options. I'm always interested in a stock that has that. But also it was a recent purchase from Berkshire Hathaway a couple months back. And so they'll announce earnings after the close on Tuesday. I just find that kind of interesting to look at. I'll really be watching Wednesday after the close for Micron, MU. And then Thursday after the close, there's a chart of Micron. It's just been an absolute, man, just left the station. And just recently, pulled back with a lot of the, AI related complex has been pulling back.
And it's held up pretty well, Preston, in the face of a lot of money leaving the AI semiconductor space, right? This one's
another one I noticed it's holding up really strong in all this little storm is Lam Research, LRCX. Now, they don't have earnings this week, but just holding up really strong in the midst of all this.
There you go.
And then three more companies I'll mention on Thursday, Mike, is FedEx and Nike. I mean, these are all name brand companies. And then Accenture, ACN, which is, so FedEx has had a tremendous year. You kind of, I think we're all susceptible to this. We're all looking, what's NVIDIA doing today? What are the chips? What's AI? It's been such a theme. And then you glance over and look at the ground FedEx is covered. And I just wanted to talk about something unrelated, Mike, just right before we got on live today. One of my sisters, she's worked for Coach. It's now called Tapestry, but She's worked for them for like 23 years. She's been the manager of the busiest Coach store in the system, which is on State Street in Santa Barbara. If anyone's rolling around Santa Barbara, go into that store and ask for Megan and tell her hi. I'm blasting her here public, but but Mike, I glance over at TPR, which is Tapestry, and it's not only hitting a 52-week high today, it's an all-time high. So here's a retailer. So again, I I think we just, and it's just so common to do. You get so I'm so intrigued with AI. It's like all I kind of look at these days, but here's TPR. I also notice Ross Stores, TJ Maxx. They're all at like 52-week and all-time highs, just calmly going about their thing. They're not in the political scene. Like Target's been really chopped down because of some of the woke stuff and some of the, there's consumer bases that are like they're banning Target. But here's companies just going about their own business. And I just had texted her right before we started. I'm like, good for you, because she's got a real nice stake of TPR stock, and I just couldn't be prouder of her. But
Nice.
here all that's happening, and it's just interesting that that can actually exist, kind of non-AI. I mean,
Right.
go for it, guys, and go, girl, for my sister. So proud of her.
There you go. That's awesome.
Anyway,
Yeah, and it kind of speaks to, right, we talked a little bit earlier about the FOMC, how they're watching inflation, right? They're watching the job market. But the big piece, the big engine that's always driving the economy is consumer spending. And so, some of those that you're pointing out can be a sign that that consumer spending is healthy and alive and doing well. So even though the job market, it's kind of a the title I saw was slow hire, slow fire, right? It's just kind of gone a little stagnant. I think where there used to be kind of that usual job creation as companies were growing and everything, it just kind of grows over time for the most part. I mean, there's been a little bit of a stall in that thanks to the increased productivity that AI is bringing to the world, right? I know teams and, Kyle's spoken to this, how in the world of software development, what used to take a month can take a week now because you can get AI helping you and you just don't quite need the same teams and the manpower as that AI is helping everyone just boost that productivity. So yeah, so interesting to point out the health of that consumer spending. And back to Nike and FedEx reporting this week, those are especially FedEx, right? How's the health of the consumer spending in the country? And those can speak to that in a big way.
well, and I'll just point out too, ACN, Accenture, that's announcing this week. If we pop a chart up of them, this also goes to the kind of this instant, is AI great, helping out teams? Absolutely. Improve earnings, improve bottom line. Then you have companies like Accenture who the AI comes in and just like Adobe, also keep ACN up on the screen, but hey, what do we need a consulting firm for? We'll just go ask Chat GPT how to be more profitable. I mean, that's been the fear, right? Where this comes in and it's like, to some of these companies that have just been around and alive on their business model, there can be a scare, and that first of all will hit a stock first. Investors will sell out. The fear takes so over. They'll sell first, ask questions
Yes.
later. And then as it kind of clears out, like Accenture, they're using AI too to help their consulting. I mean, yeah, we are viable, but look at the hit. This this is a big dividend grower, a big blue chip name, but they've just been out of sorts, Mike, because of how what you just mentioned, AI is so great and
Mm-hmm.
reducing down times and being more efficient and all that. But it certainly puts the question mark, and like in Adobe too, like, hey, I just asked Chat GPT to paint me a picture. I don't need your Adobe Illustrator anymore. That kind of a thing. But so it's certainly, anytime there's a big idea whose time has come, it really questions the existence really of some amazing companies that have existed and grown for decades and decades.
Right.
So that's just part of the this new animal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome. Well, maybe we could throw up just a chart of the S&P 500. We could talk a little bit about just the broad markets as we wrap this one up, Preston. And we got another fun story from a client that we wanted to share today. But we saw that really strong bounce over the Thanksgiving week. And then really the market's just kind of gone into this holding pattern. And we were anticipating, okay, maybe it's just waiting for the FOMC news. We finally got a little bit of some profit taking to close out the week last week. And then, of course, a little bit of red. We started strong. Futures were up this morning. And we just kind of dropped off from that little bit stronger open. So, I mean, Preston, looking at that, do you feel we could see maybe a little bit more profit taking before maybe we close the year with that Santa Claus rally? You know, where's your brain as you kind of attack these last couple of weeks of the trading year?
Yeah, just when you that's a good question. And just when you think like, oh, well, it should do this to end the year, I guess that's why they call it the market. I mean, is there I tend to think that the stocks that have not performed, they might just continue not performing as tax loss selling, you know, comes in and people offset that loss with the gain, that whole thing. But just when you think you've got that dialed, the market can act a completely different way. So it's the short answer, especially in the shorter term at the market at all. It's so hard to predict what it can do.
Definitely.
Obviously, more in the long term. Yeah, that's easy. We got history. You can lean on history. We know there's a correction every year that's averaged one since World War II. But I'm not sure, Mike, into the end of the year. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that a little bit, we've seen a lot just the money staying in the market. It's just kind of been shifting a little bit, right? Like I think, was it Friday, Preston? The NASDAQ's down, but the Dow was up. We're seeing some of these split markets where what that's an indication of is money is maybe leaving some of those tech positions, those tech companies, and moving over, like some of the charts we looked at, TJ Maxx and Ross Stores and Tapestry, some of these that are, finding that bid and popping up to, new highs, new all-time highs, new 52-week highs.
Yeah.
So the money is still staying in the market. It's not like there's this big mass exodus, but it's just been a little bit of a rebalancing as money is finding a little bit, kind of that new home.
Definitely that going on for sure.
Well, awesome. Preston, anything else before we dive into this fun story from David H?
I can't wait to hear from David.
Pop it up on the screen. So we love sharing these. Hopefully it sparks a little inspiration, a little excitement, whether you're new to the money press, you've been trading it for, a decade, whatever it might be. But David said he started back in July of 2024, so about a year and a half, with $1,400. So, got to work. He said, my first money press trade was on KO, Coca-Cola. I think I ran it for a full quarter and it returned a nice profit. I had many butterflies in my stomach when I pressed the trade button. The usual what if questions came to mind. What if I lose money? What if I push the wrong button? What if I mess up the trade? And I love this part of the story. He said, I got a grip and started asking, what if I make money? Then the trade
Said
would
I got
do
a
well.
grip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Haven't heard that for a minute.
So I'm following Preston, Mike, Brandon, the other WoW insiders. I love this. He says, taking this step changed my family's and my entire financial life.
Wow.
Now, a year and some change later, I look back and laugh about all that silly anxiety. Had my ups and downs, but overall, I'm happy with how I've progressed. I learn and improve every week. And then Preston, he gives a big shout out. Thank you, Preston, Mike, Brandon. Your videos have helped my trading tremendously. Hopefully, I'll get to meet you all at a live event someday. So, David H., thanks for sending that in. What we love is obviously we trade to turn a profit. We want to make money. We want to have another income stream. But what I love are people that just really enjoy the journey of it, enjoy the learning, enjoy the progress. I mean, and David, I don't know when your finish line is for trading. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 30 years, but you're building that foundation. You're learning a system, a strategy. You're gaining all this information, education that can't be taken away from you, right? It's not like a pair of shoes that's going to wear out and end up in the garbage can. You're building a skill set, and that's really fun for you to send that in and share that. So we appreciate that big time.
Mike, I love that so much, and it goes back to where, hey, where do you think things might go in the next couple of weeks? The beauty, especially with the money press, is what we do know is part of the money press is an etched in stone protection, and I like to call it sleep at night protection. Even
Mm-hmm.
though there's a chance that you can lose with any type of strategy and lose in the markets, there's a chance of that. What is etched in stone is you can put in a barrier, and so we know that. And then if we don't know where it's going, we can collect someone else betting on the market, which is what the money press is. And we like to do that in an inflated way, which is why we focus on the weekly options. And I'm talking to the audience, you know this backwards and forward. But how nice is that to know that, like your friend said early on, like, Mike, I don't know whether it's going up or down, but I'll tell you this, I know the market's going to be open tomorrow. And then, well, not on a Saturday or Sunday, but on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we know it's going to be open. So we can make money in uncertainty. And that gives you certainty. So sign me up for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Good thought. A great one to end on. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for your time. We don't take it for granted. We'll be back next week, of course, coming into the shortened Christmas weeks. We'll talk about all that. So we'll have plenty to bring and discuss on Monday. But have a great week. Hope this was helpful, helping you cut through some of the noise and chaos out there and set you up to have a successful trading week. Thanks so much, Preston. Always appreciate your
Thanks,
insights.
Mike. Appreciate it. These are always a blast.
Take care.